The Davey brand has been in South Africa for 35 years, but on one single product. So where you speak in communities and farming communities, everybody knows the Davey Firefighter. It's probably South Africa's leading firefighter pump, unsurpassed. But they don't know where the rest of the range is, and they don't know that it's available in South Africa. Davey has created a brand about solutions, and that's very much what all the products are about. It's about providing a solution to a problem. Davey has an extensive range on home pressure systems, so water transfer systems.
Borehole?
A borehole, submersible borehole, both in the 4-inch and the 6-inch. Vertical multi-stage pumps, and they have an extensive water treatment range. And a lot of the products within that water treatment range are unique to the Davey range.
Let's go to that water treatment part. What do you mean by water treatment? I mean, in the mining industry, a water treatment is necessary. Well, how is it necessary in the agricultural field?
If you take from an agricultural point of view, if you look at a lot of the farms, they want to get to a self-sufficient solution. The municipal water is not consistent. The water that's coming into your house or coming into your agricultural environment is not purified. So the opportunity for diseases, the opportunity to get sick is right there. Water treatment and water harvesting is something that is now becoming the buzzword in South Africa. We have a lot of those green tanks all throughout South Africa. You've seen those. That collects water. Now, what do you do with that water? How do I get it into my house? How do I get it into my taps? That water sits there for 3 or 4 days. How do I make sure that water is secure and good enough to drink? So Davey has ranges like the Rain Bank, which again is unique to the range. There isn't a product in the world that competes against it. And what the Rain Bank does is work between mains and rainwater tanks and swaps between using, whether it's flushing the toilet, washing your clothes, or having drinking water. And the whole idea from that product came when Australia ran out of water. Water harvesting at that stage was illegal in Australia. And Davey created this product, went to the government and ultimately said, you don't need good drinking water to flush the toilet. So use your rainwater tank and obviously create water conservation solutions. So far that system became mandatory in most of Australia. I think South Africa is at a point where water is in a major crisis. We're running out of it quite quickly, and the water that we are using is not purified. So how do we make sure that the water is good enough, point number one, and secure?
You made a very prolific statement there, we're running out of water.
Yeah.
No argument on that one, but how dire is that water situation in South Africa?
I think...
Without being a scaremonger.
Yeah, look, yeah. But I think South Africans need to stand up and realise that we are in a scary phase. I think, you know, if you spend time researching on the internet, there is people that are turning around and saying that there's 4 years left of water in South Africa. What happens when you get to that point? Whether it's true or not, and I think it's very hard to sort of put a pinpoint on a time, but if you look at parts of South Africa, places like Tabazimbi, places like Palabora, places like at the top of South Africa, Botswana and Namibia, they have no water supply. So how do we make sure that A, they've got water, and B, that the water they're drinking is secure? You know, everyone talks about desalination. We've got to see, let's use that water. For South Africans or for the South African government to build a desalination plant.
Let's just clear that up. Desalination is taking water from the sea, which is potentially full of salt.
Correct.
And you have to desalinate by removing the salt from the water and giving water out on the other side.
Correct, yes. But you've got to start taking, when you have a desalination plant, you take that salt out. With that salt comes chemicals. Where does that go? So wherever you put that desalination plant, understand that the area around that is going to be destroyed.
We're not even looking at desalination in South Africa.
I think, you know, Australia is there right now.
Very prolific in Australia.
And if you look at the way that, from an eco point of view, they're struggling. You know, for us to go and build a desalination plant would cost us $1 billion. Do we have that money? Probably not.
Do we have any choice not to, though?
Well, I think...
If we believe your theory of 4 years...
Yeah, look, you know, it's, to a large extent, I think people need to understand that water conservation is something that we need to start embracing right now. I think when you start playing around with water conservation, it makes life a lot easier on the water that we do have. How do we conserve water? Rainwater harvesting. We see in Johannesburg, you mentioned early on, roads washed away. We've had a lot of rain now. What have we done that water?
But you don't capture it, do we? It
Well,
runs off.
Well, exactly. You know, we've got, to give you an example, Davey in Australia have got a rain bank on their building. Now they've got obviously a massive warehouse, and they are saving close on 1 billion litres of water a year from rain. So the rainwater comes off, and they collect it, and they use that water to flush their toilets, to supply the water. And you can understand they're a water brand, so every single one of the products that come out of production is tested using water. All of that water is recycled rainwater. There's one solution automatically that we could plug and play from a South African point of view and automatically start conserving water. And at the end of the day, when you start saving 40 or 50 or 60% on your water bill on a monthly basis, you speak about cost saving, you speak about water conservation, and those are two elements in South Africa right now that we need to start embracing. It's a reality that if you start implementing these solutions, and like I said early on, it's not about selling a product, it's providing a solution to a problem that we have right now.
What kind of cost are we talking about on average? Let's talk about a startup farmer, a black aspirant farmer. He's got the same water problems as the big boy.
Absolutely, absolutely. You could put one of these rain bank systems, which would come with the rain bank unit and a pressure system, which would attach to a tank, whatever it might be. You're looking at recommended retail, probably over 9,000, 10,000 Rand.
How much time and effort has Davey spent in advising the farming community and the government at the same time? Because there's a kind of dual advising going on here. You have to one or the other, so that if there's recapitalisation, they need to buy pumps from you as well. How much effort is being put in?
We put in a lot of effort in. I spend a lot of time with the media. I spend a lot of time in that kind of engine room creating these type of topics. Like I said early on, I've spent the last 7 or 8 weeks traveling around the country and speaking to farmers in those communities and saying, did you know that this is available? It's about changing a methodology, it's about changing a mindset. We spend a lot of time in a variety of communities because that's where we need to start playing those sort of roles. So yeah, we spend a lot of time investing. This whole initiative is only 6 months old. We became exclusive distributors in November. And from November we hit the ground running and started spending a lot of time from a public relations point of view, from creating that sort of buzz and that creative that content that this is now a solution available. From a backup point of view, we will support our dealers 150%. We spend a lot of time.
This is a new venture, so obviously the processes aren't put in place yet.
Well, yes and no. To a large extent, from a backup point of view, the process is already in place. We have service centres. Most of our dealers that we have on board have the ability to support. We have an exchange program in, so one of our pumps go down, we swap it out straight away.
Educational program?
We spend a lot of time with our dealers training. We try and instill in them to get the message across. We don't go direct to the public. We do from a marketing point of view, but to a large extent we spend a lot of time with our dealers ensuring that they are on board in terms of training, understanding knowledge, how to spec the right pump, and how do we fix a solution. You know, a lot of people will come to us and say, this is my problem, how do I fix it? And it's not just about saying, okay, well that's the pump, you need to go and install that. It's about ensuring that we're getting the right product in the right place. The port of call for a customer is to their dealer, and that's the relationship that we support. So we put a lot of emphasis on our dealers ensuring that they are supporting their customers and that they have that communication on that open platform. We will support our dealers to an extent that if they need a product flown to them or whatever it might be, we install that. To give a very good example, quite exciting for the business is today is the first day that 2 Davey borehole pumps have been put into South Africa, first time. We flew them in from Australia because it was an urgent. So that's the extent that we will go to ensure that our farmers or our agricultural community don't have downtime. We want to be, for want of a better word, the big brother from a water point of view, and we want to be able to support South Africans and ensure that when the water crisis does get to their doorstep, we have a solution for them.